"She's dangerous, officer. Look at these bruises." My mother-in-law, Eleanor, held out her arm dramatically, showing off what looked like fresh bruises. I stood in our doorway, utterly stunned as two police officers took notes while she sobbed convincingly. My name is Olivia Parker, and at 34, I was watching my mother-in-law try to destroy my life with perfectly crafted lies. "Mrs. Parker, we need you to come down to the station," one of the officers said, his face stern. I nodded numbly, my mind racing to understand how I'd ended up here. Just yesterday, everything had been normal, or what passed for normal in a house I shared with my husband James, and unfortunately, his mother. "I'll get my purse," I said calmly, turning to go back inside. That's when I saw it. Eleanor's phone lying on the kitchen counter, its screen still lit up. As I passed by, a message notification caught my eye. Perfect timing. James is at work, and the police bought everything. My hand trembled as I picked up the phone. Eleanor had always been careless with her passwords, using the same one for everything. James's birthday. One quick swipe, and I was in. The message was from a group chat titled Operation Homecoming. Time seemed to slow as I scrolled through the messages, my heart pounding with each revelation. There it was, weeks of conversations between Eleanor and my sister-in-law Victoria, meticulously planning every detail. Once the abuse claims stick, James will have to choose between us and her. The house will be ours, and that little gold digger will be gone for good. Eleanor had written just 3 days ago. "Perfect," Victoria had replied. "I've already started telling everyone how worried I am about her mental state. Nobody will believe her when she tries to defend herself." The timestamps showed they'd been planning this for months. Every accidental bruise Eleanor had shown up with, every concerned call from Victoria about my supposed unstable behavior, it was all orchestrated. I quickly took photos of the chat with my own phone, my hands steady despite the adrenaline coursing through me. Thank God for my job as a digital forensic specialist. I knew exactly how to document everything without leaving traces. "Mrs. Parker?" The officer called from the door. "We need to go now." "Coming." I called back, setting Eleanor's phone exactly where I'd found it. As I walked past her, I saw the triumphant gleam in her eyes, the slight upturn of her lips that anyone else would have missed. She thought she'd won. What Eleanor didn't know was that 3 months ago, I'd installed security cameras throughout our house. Not because I was paranoid, but because James had been worried about recent break-ins in the neighborhood. Every incident Eleanor had reported was captured on video, showing exactly how she created those bruises when she thought no one was watching. At the police station, I sat calmly as they questioned me. "Mrs. Parker, these are serious allegations. Your mother-in-law has documented several instances of abuse." "I understand," I replied, maintaining my composure. "I'd like to contact my lawyer now." Eleanor's plan had one fatal flaw: she'd never bothered to learn what I did for a living. As a digital forensic specialist, I spent my days helping companies protect themselves from cyber threats and document digital evidence. I knew exactly how to build an airtight case. My lawyer, Patricia Jean, arrived within the hour. I'd worked with her firm on several cases, and she knew my reputation for meticulous documentation. As we sat in the interview room, I pulled out my phone. "Before we continue," Patricia said, "my client has some evidence she'd like to share." The officers looked skeptical until I started playing the videos. There was Eleanor, carefully applying makeup to create bruises. Another clip showed her practicing her crying in the bathroom mirror. But the piece de resistance was the audio from last week, when she called Victoria to gloat about how well their plan was working. "The timestamps and metadata are all intact," I explained professionally. "I can provide a full forensic report demonstrating these files haven't been altered." The officers exchanged glances. "Why do you have these recordings, Mrs. Parker?" "Home security," I replied simply. "After the break-ins on our street, we installed cameras. All residents were notified, including Eleanor. She signed the acknowledgement form herself." I watched their expressions shift from suspicion to realization. Eleanor had walked right into her own trap, and she didn't even know it yet. "There's more," I added, pulling up the photos of the group chat. "This is a conversation between my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, detailing their plan to frame me for abuse and take my house." As the officers reviewed the evidence, I thought about James. He was at work, probably worried sick after Eleanor's frantic call about her abusive daughter-in-law. He had no idea his mother and sister had been manipulating him for months, playing on his protective instincts to turn him against me. Mrs. Parker, the senior officer said finally, we'll need copies of all this evidence. And we owe you an apology. I nodded, but my mind was already racing ahead to the next steps. Eleanor and Victoria thought they were so clever, but they'd never faced someone who knew how to fight back on their own turf. The digital trail they'd left would be their undoing. As I left the police station that evening, my phone buzzed with a message from Eleanor to the family group chat. Olivia's been taken in for questioning. It's only a matter of time now. Keep James busy. He doesn't need to know the details yet. I smiled, thinking of the security cameras silently recording at home, capturing every moment of Eleanor's performance. Sometimes the best revenge isn't fighting back immediately. It's letting your opponents think they're winning while you gather everything you need to take them down completely. The real show was about to begin, and I had front row seats to their downfall. The next morning, I woke up in our guest bedroom to find several missed calls from James. I'd chosen not to go home last night, letting Eleanor think her plan was working. Instead, I'd stayed busy, compiling all my evidence into an airtight case. Olivia, where are you? Mom's hysterical, saying you threatened her after the police let you go. Please call me back. James's voice message was tense, worried. He still believed his mother's act. I closed my eyes, remembering how we'd met 5 years ago. James had been different then, before Eleanor moved in with us temporarily after her divorce. Before Victoria started visiting more frequently, always whispering in his ear about how I was changing, becoming unstable. My phone buzzed with a new notification from the security system. Eleanor was in the kitchen, talking to Victoria, who'd apparently come over first thing in the morning. I opened the live feed. Everything's going perfectly, Eleanor was saying, stirring her coffee. James is devastated. Completely believes you about Olivia's mental state. Once she's gone, we can sell this place and get something bigger, just the three of us. Victoria nodded eagerly, and with her history of abuse, she won't get a penny in the divorce. I can't believe how easy this was. I smiled, watching them celebrate prematurely. They had no idea I'd already sent everything to my lawyer. Patricia was probably filing the restraining orders right now. My phone rang. James again. This time I answered. Where are you? He demanded. Mom's pressing charges, Olivia. She says you came back last night and threatened her. Victoria saw everything. Did she? I kept my voice calm. That's interesting because I have proof of exactly where I was last night. But more importantly, I have proof of something else. Check your email, James. I just sent you something you need to see. I'd spent hours compiling the evidence into a clear, chronological presentation. The security footage, the group chat messages, audio recordings of their planning sessions, everything pointing to a calculated conspiracy. What is this? He asked, his voice uncertain. The truth, I replied simply. Watch it all, James. Then we'll talk. I hung up and opened my laptop, checking the security feed again. Eleanor and Victoria were still in the kitchen, but now they were checking their phones frantically. My lawyer must have sent the cease and desist letters. She couldn't have proof, Victoria was saying, her voice shrill. We were so careful. Eleanor's face had gone pale. The cameras. The ones they installed for security. You don't think? Those cameras can't record audio, Victoria snapped. And anyway, we only talked in the garden or my house. I smiled again. They didn't know about the garden cameras or the fact that their phones had been automatically connecting to my home's Wi-Fi, backing up their conversations to my secure server. My phone buzzed with a text from Patricia. Restraining orders granted. Police are on their way to serve them now. Perfect timing. On the security feed, I watched as 2 police officers approached our front door. Eleanor answered, her usual confident smile faltering as they handed her the papers. This is ridiculous, she screeched. She's lying. Victoria, tell them. But Victoria was backing away, her face ashen as she read the documents. The officers were explaining that they had evidence of their conspiracy, including the false police report from yesterday. Both women would need to leave the premises immediately. James's car pulled into the driveway. He looked shell-shocked as he got out, probably still processing everything I'd sent him. I watched through the cameras as he walked in, looking between his mother, sister, and the police officers. Is it true? He asked Eleanor, his voice hollow. Did you and Victoria plan all this? Try to frame my wife? James, honey, you don't understand, Eleanor started, reaching for him. We were trying to protect you. She's changed you, taking you away from your family. The only ones trying to destroy this family are you and Victoria, he replied, stepping back from her touch. I saw the videos, Mom. I heard your conversations. How could you do this? That was my cue. I gathered my things and drove home, arriving just as the police were escorting Eleanor and Victoria out. They froze when they saw me, their faces a mix of fury and fear. You! Eleanor spat. You planned this. I smiled calmly. No, Eleanor. You planned this. I just made sure everyone could see exactly what you were doing. As they were led away, James stood in the doorway, looking lost. I walked past him into our house, setting my bag down in the entryway that had witnessed so much drama in the past 24 hours. Olivia, he started, his voice breaking. I'm so sorry. I should have seen what they were doing. I should have believed in you. I turned to face him, feeling both stronger and more tired than I had in months. Yes, you should have. But right now, we both need time to process this. I'll be staying in the guest room until we figure things out. He nodded, understanding that trust, once broken, takes time to rebuild. As I walked upstairs, I checked my phone one last time. Patricia had sent another update. Eleanor and Victoria were being charged with filing false police reports, conspiracy, and harassment. Their perfect plan had backfired spectacularly. In the guest room, I sat on the bed and finally let myself feel everything I'd been holding back. The hurt, the anger, the vindication. It all washed over me in waves. But underneath it all was a sense of peace. I protected myself, exposed the truth, and done it all without stooping to their level. Tomorrow would bring me challenges, healing my marriage, dealing with the legal aftermath, rebuilding trust. But for now, I could rest knowing that sometimes the best revenge is simply letting the truth come to light. 6 months after Eleanor and Victoria's failed scheme, I sat in our newly renovated living room, sipping coffee and reviewing the final court documents. The criminal case against them had concluded with both women accepting plea deals, probation, mandatory counseling, and restraining orders that would keep them far from our lives. The house felt different now. We repainted every room, replaced the furniture Eleanor had chosen, and transformed the space into something that was truly ours again. The security cameras remained, though now they were just part of our home's protection rather than silent witnesses to manipulation. James and I had spent these months in therapy, both individually and as a couple. He'd moved into the guest room initially, understanding that trust needed to be rebuilt slowly. We had long, difficult conversations about family loyalty, boundaries, and why he'd been so quick to believe his mother's lies. I keep thinking about all the signs I missed, he said one evening during dinner. The way they'd whisper when you left the room, how Mom would constantly remind me of how she sacrificed everything for me. I was so blind. I reached across the table and took his hand. We both learned valuable lessons. I learned to speak up sooner, and you learned that sometimes the people closest to us can be the ones who hurt us most. The hardest part had been dealing with the extended family. Eleanor and Victoria had spent years crafting their narrative about me, and some relatives still weren't sure what to believe. But as more details emerged during the court proceedings, including the full extent of their plotting, support slowly shifted in our favor. My sister-in-law's teenage daughter, Lily, had reached out to me privately. I always knew something was wrong with how Mom and Grandma treated you, she confessed. I found Mom's burner phone once with all these notes about their plans. I was too scared to say anything. I'd hugged her tight, assuring her that none of it was her responsibility. Now she visited us regularly, finding in our home the stability her own mother couldn't provide. One afternoon, while sorting through old photos, I found a picture from our wedding day. Eleanor stood between James and me, her smile now obviously forced. Victoria was on his other side, already plotting perhaps. I started to toss it away, but James stopped me. Keep it, he said softly, as a reminder of how far we've come. He was right. We were stronger now, more united. The conspiracy that was meant to destroy us had ultimately forced us to confront the cracks in our foundation and rebuild something better. Last week, we received a letter from Eleanor's counselor, part of her probation requirements. She'd written us an apology, though it still rang hollow with justifications and excuses. Victoria hadn't bothered to write at all, apparently still convinced she'd done nothing wrong. Some people never change, my therapist observed when I shared this with her. But you've changed, grown stronger. That's what matters. She was right. The woman I was before would have kept quiet, tried to accommodate Eleanor's increasingly outrageous behavior, doubted herself when Victoria spread rumors about my mental state. But I'd learned to stand my ground, to trust my instincts, and to fight back intelligently rather than emotionally. James and I finally moved back into our master bedroom last month. As we lay there one night, he turned to me in the darkness. "Thank you," he whispered. "For what?" "For fighting for us, even when I didn't deserve it. For being smarter and stronger than them. For giving me a chance to make things right." I snuggled closer to him, feeling truly at peace in our home for the first time in years. We fought for us. That's what matters now. This morning, I disabled the security system's constant recording feature. We still have cameras for safety, but I no longer feel the need to document every moment. The threat has passed, and we've emerged stronger on the other side. Eleanor and Victoria's plan to take our home have failed spectacularly, but they'd unintentionally given us something valuable, a chance to rebuild our marriage on a stronger foundation of trust, understanding, and mutual respect. As I sit here now, watching the sunset through windows no longer clouded by tension and fear, I realize that sometimes the happy ending isn't about winning the battle. It's about growing stronger through the fight. Our home isn't just a house anymore. It's a testament to resilience, truth, and the power of standing your ground when others try to tear you down. James comes home from work, bringing takeout and a warm smile. We've started having dinner together every night, talking openly about our days, our feelings, our future. It's a simple thing, but it represents everything we almost lost and fought so hard to save. "Happy?" he asks, setting the food down. I look around our home, remembering the darkness we emerged from, and smile. "Yes," I reply. "We are."